Smith versus Kaepernick as starting quarterbacks since 2012. Very similar. Edge going to Kaepernick. Actually, the edge is not going to Kaepernick. Oh, it is. The edge is going to Kaepernick for more touchdowns. You changed the full screen on me. All right, I'm back at the desk, folks. I was walking, so I couldn't see that full screen. Hello, fellas. I'm sitting. Now we're sitting. It's normal. You guys are off the big screen. So, Stephen A., I got this question for you. Okay. Did the 49ers make the right decision when they traded Alex Smith?
Well, I don't think there's any question that they made the right decision simply because Colin Kaepernick immediately took over and guided them to a Super Bowl appearance before they lost to the Ravens. We all know that he's a dual threat. We see what he can do right now. He's 19th in the league with a passer rating of 91. Hasn't been ultra impressive, and we understand that. But at the same time, I think overall his upside, not just his talent, speaks for itself. Alex Smith is a quality quarterback. And when you say a game manager, that's not necessarily a negative connotation, although it's been used that way, including by myself in the past. But there's no denying that Alex Smith has been a welcomed addition to the Kansas City Chiefs, that the utilization of Alex Smith by Coach Andy Reid has been impressive. Nobody can deny that. You got them to a record last year and went to the postseason. We get all of that. But in the end, what it comes down to me is incredibly simple. I think Colin Kaepernick is more talented. I think his upside is greater. And I think that is why he's the starting quarterback of the of the San Francisco 49ers and not Alex Smith. Alex Smith is in a good situation. He's definitely classy. He can throw the football. He doesn't make too many mistakes. Hasn't thrown an interception since week 1. Had 6 scores in the last 2 weeks. He's been very, very impressive. But he's still not Colin Kaepernick.
So, Stephen A., would you take Alex Smith right now over Andy Dalton?
I would take him over Andy Dalton. I would not take him over Colin Kaepernick.
I'm with you. I was just trying to keep it in some perspective here. I agree with your final take on this, that even though I thought it was a close call, it was the right call to go with Colin Kaepernick. I think that in the end, Kaepernick is capable of making bigger plays than Alex Smith. But, Stephen A., I got to be honest. Alex Smith has grown on me over these 2 years in Kansas City. He's pretty good. He can go beyond game managing. He can is this fair to say? I think Alex Smith is proving to be a better passer than Colin Kaepernick. Is that fair? Better passer. Just pure passer.
So far, but the jury's still out on Colin Kaepernick because he's growing into the position. He's still relatively young. Hasn't been around as long as Alex Smith.
Okay, so what have I seen so far? I've seen, as you point out, that Colin Kaepernick was able to lift that team from mid-year forward to get them to within one play of winning a Super Bowl. Last year, he was able to take that team to within one play of getting to the Super Bowl. And if he just put a little bit more air under that throw to Crabtree, maybe Colin Kaepernick would be in all the national TV commercials and not Richard Sherman, because he gave Richard a chance to make a great play on that last throw because it was thrown too much on a line. But, hey, if he puts just a little more air under the throw to Crabtree and Crabtree catches it, then maybe Colin Kaepernick is dropping the beef jerky down to you in the stomach on the, what are they, Oberto beef jerky commercials, right?
That is correct. That is correct.
It's possible. That could have been Colin Kaepernick dropping it down to you. Okay, so
but it wasn't.
In the big picture, it wasn't. It wasn't, but it was close. So my point on Alex Smith is Monday night against the Patriots, he was superb, man. I mean, 20 of 26 for 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, 248 yards. Beautiful game. But on opening day in that same stadium during the daytime, he threw 3 interceptions, and they got spanked by the Tennessee Titans 26-10. So he doesn't have Kaepernick's ability to take over a game the way Colin can, because Colin, we know, can run. He already leads quarterbacks with 187 yards rushing. That's 5.7 yards per crack. 7 times, Colin Kaepernick has already run for a first down. So you have to factor that into his QBR, which means it's a level higher. What is it, about 58 a game over Alex Smith's, which is 49 a game. But, Stephen A., don't forget this. The second leading quarterback rusher in football is Alex Smith. Now, it's quite a ways back at 103 yards to 187, but Alex Smith can move too.
Well, he can move too, but let's be clear here. The Miami Dolphins don't knock your socks off, and the New England Patriots haven't been what we know and have grown accustomed to them being. Those are the two victories that the Kansas City Chiefs have over the last 2 weeks. The San Francisco 49ers pose an entirely different problem whatsoever. Their defense, even without Aldon Smith, even without Navarro Bowman, is still a pretty big-time defense. There's no question about that. You can bet Nile Davis, Jamal Charles, they ain't going to be able to run the football the way they were running against New England. You look at Dwayne Bowe and the rest of the crew. What are they going to be able to do against against San Francisco's defense as well? Let's put things in its proper perspective. All I'm saying to you is that this is going to be an entirely different game. We'll learn a lot about Alex Smith in this game as well because, number one, you're going up against that San Francisco defense, but we'll also learn a lot about Kansas City because they're not going to have a stationary target in Tom Brady that they're going up against this week. They're going to have a very movable target in Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick, I thought in the early part of the game against Philadelphia last week, he was scrambling like crazy because the offensive line wasn't protecting him as well as it should have, okay? This man still found a way to escape and to make plays. I suspect that he's going to be able to do the same thing against Tamba Ali and Houston and those boys for Kansas City. We will see. This is not the same matchup as it has been going up against Tannehill and then Tom Brady over the last 2 weeks. Colin Kaepernick and the San Francisco 49ers offense pose an entirely different problem for Kansas City, and that defense certainly does for Alex Smith as well. We will see what happens.
Okay, I got a final question for you. Remember the playoff game Kansas City at Indy last year, the Andrew Luck comeback game? Yep. In that game, Kansas City led in the third quarter 38-10. Then they proceeded. They'd already lost Jamal Charles. They lost Nile Davis. They lost both their bookend pass rushers, Tamba and Justin Houston. So all of a sudden, Alex Smith had to make some late plays to try to hang on to that lead. And even though his stats look sensational for the game, he threw for almost 400 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. I didn't think he could make that one play late. He had a chance and didn't make it that could have saved or turned around the game. To me, Colin Kaepernick could have won that game.
Yeah, but you look at things totally different than me, Skip Bayless. You're thinking about the one play that he couldn't make. I'm thinking about the fact that you had a 28-point cushion. Even if suddenly your defense can't stop Andrew Luck and the Indianapolis Colts, what does that have to do with you? You still get the ball back. It's not like if you score, you keep the ball and you get to keep scoring and you keep it away from the other team. No. Alex Smith had a 28-point lead in that playoff game. It shouldn't have come down to a last play. If you've got a 28-point lead and you keep scoring, they can't catch you. What's the problem? The fact is the Indianapolis Colts were able to catch Kansas City because somewhere along the way, while Andrew Luck was going berserk, their defense was ultimately able to neutralize Alex Smith and the Kansas City Chiefs offense. If that hadn't happened, it wouldn't have been a problem.
But that was after Andrew Luck had thrown his third interception in that game, just for the record.
I'm just saying Alex Smith had a 28-point cushion. You give somebody that knows how to put up points a 28-point lead, Skip, they don't lose the lead. Even if the defense gives up 45 points, you still should have been able to score more anyway. If you were scoring 38 points, how come you couldn't put up more?
Fair question.
All right, San Francisco, on the other hand, looking for their very first win. Actually, it's not San Francisco, it's the Chiefs, guys. There's people talking to me. The Chiefs are looking for their first win in 43 years in San Francisco.